Every platform I've ever covered on this channel started the same way. I got curious about it, I started using it, and I kept using it until the picture became clear enough to actually say something meaningful. That process has no shortcuts, and sometimes it takes 2 weeks, sometimes it takes longer, but the output is always the same. A real, grounded opinion based entirely on what happened when I personally put crypto through the thing. Mining platforms specifically have been taking up most of that process lately, and this one right here is the most recent one I've run through it properly. So today I'm just going to open everything up and show you from beginning to end exactly as it happens on my real account. And then I want to close out with a conversation I think is important: how to tell the difference between a real operation and a convincing fake, from someone who's had to learn parts of that the hard way. Let's go. So page is loaded, dashboard is open, and this is the central interface. Session setup, live monitoring, all operational controls in one place. Okay, so first thing I'm doing is picking a token, BNB today, and I want to take a moment here. This service operates on multi-chain, which means I'm never in a situation where I'm using a token I don't want to use because it's the only option the platform supports. I'm always choosing based on what makes the most sense right now. Okay, next I configure the cluster power settings. So here I determine the operational profile, the resource depth, the processing intensity, and how hard the system runs throughout the duration. All right, I'm good with this set. Pressing start now, and session is running. The console shows all the info in front of me: current resource draw, elapsed time, my progress, and log panel that I keep running throughout every session because it gives me actual visibility into what's happening at the infrastructure level. So letting this run for a few minutes. Okay, pop-up is on screen, session is wrapped, and here is the exact BNB output from this run. So step one is getting my receiving address for BNB entered. Good. Next, I settle the infrastructure. That's what the platform charges for the session, derives into the parameters I set and the total active duration. And what I appreciate about this is the transparency of it. The fee is determined by inputs I control, so I'm never surprised by what shows up at the end. And worth flagging specifically, I can use any token I want to cover, purely based on what's most convenient for me right now. Okay, everything is submitted, tapping I've sent right here, and now it's in processing. It should take a few minutes. So while that clears, let me get into what I think is the most useful thing this video can actually offer. So because the user side of that looks so simple and frictionless, this category has always attracted operators who are skilled at building the surface without putting anything real underneath it. So I want to be clear about is that it's not a reflection of how careful or experienced you are. These things are put together well enough to fool people who genuinely know what they're looking for. New platforms launch constantly, new narratives take hold fast, and that rhythm produces this almost automatic forward motion where stopping to examine something carefully starts to feel like falling behind. So a few things that are now just baked into how I look at anything new. First thing, and this is actually where I spend the most time, I go through the entire product end to end. Not a quick scroll, not a 5-minute poke around, I mean a proper methodical walkthrough of every single feature the platform claims to offer. And I do that more than once because the first run through anything tells you relatively little. It's the second and third time that you start catching the things that didn't register initially. Second thing is functionality under real conditions. I don't just check whether a feature exists, I check whether it actually performs consistently every time I interact with it, because a lot of platforms will show you something that works once and then quietly breaks under repeated use, and that pattern tells you a lot about the stability of what's running underneath. And the third thing, and honestly this is where I form most of my final opinion, is how intuitive the whole experience actually is when I'm moving through it as someone who's genuinely trying to get something done, not reading the documentation, not following a tutorial, just using it the way a real person would use it. And if at any point I find myself stopping to figure out what I'm supposed to do next, or something doesn't behave the way the interface suggests it should, that friction gets logged because it usually means corners were cut somewhere in the build. Okay, so I want to close with something specific because I think it carries more weight than a general recommendation. 8 weeks and 42 sessions on this platform across different configurations and run lengths. And the thing that I keep coming back to when I think about what I found is actually pretty simple. Nothing broke. Not in a single session, not in any withdrawal, not at any point in the user experience. And in a space where most platforms give you at least one moment of friction or uncertainty within the first week of serious use, something that doesn't match what was promised, something that makes you stop and question what you're looking at, the absence of that across sessions is actually the most meaningful data point I can give you. That's what honest testing produced. Make of it what you will.